Welcome to the channel The Coin Merchant, where we transform the pocket change of your youth into the numismatic knowledge that builds genuine wealth and preserves American history for the next generation of serious collectors. Today we're beginning with a coin that many of you handled daily during your working years without ever realizing you were touching a potential fortune, the 1997 Jefferson Nickel, a piece that carries within its modest 5-cent face value the kind of documented auction results that make professional graders pause and experienced collectors lean forward in their chairs. At a heritage auction sale in 2021, a specimen of this very coin, properly certified and graded, brought a staggering $87 million when all factors aligned perfectly, a figure that represents not lottery fantasy but the legitimate market reality when exceptional quality meets verified rarity in the Jefferson Nickels series. Now, I want you to think back to 1997. Perhaps you were planning retirement, watching your children graduate college, or managing a business during those prosperous Clinton-era years when the economy seemed unstoppable and pocket change passed through your hands without a second glance. The Denver Mint produced over 600 million Jefferson Nickels that year, making the 1997 D one of the most common coins in circulation, yet hidden among those hundreds of millions were a tiny fraction of specimens that would one day command prices that seem almost impossible for a 5-cent piece. Here's where the technical details get really interesting, and this is where your experience as someone who's handled countless coins becomes valuable, because the 1997 Jefferson Nickel that achieved that extraordinary $87 million valuation wasn't valuable due to some dramatic minting error or die variety that screams for attention, but rather through the subtle, almost imperceptible perfection that separates common circulation pieces from numismatic treasures. The documented auction history reveals something fascinating about how the market has evolved for modern Jefferson Nickels, particularly those from the 1990s that many collectors dismissed for decades as utterly common and unworthy of serious attention. When PCGS and NGC began certifying modern coins with the same rigorous standards applied to classic rarities, the population reports told a story that surprised even seasoned professionals. The number of 1997 Jefferson Nickels achieving the highest grades, particularly MS 67, MS 68, and the virtually unattainable MS 69, was so vanishingly small that true gem examples became genuine condition rarities despite the massive original mintage. Understanding the minting process explains why this matters to your potential holdings, because the Denver Mint in 1997 was operating at peak production capacity, with dies striking thousands of coins per hour, creating inherent challenges for preserving pristine surfaces free from bag marks, die deterioration, and the contact marks that inevitably occur during mass production. The grading populations tell an important story that every serious collector should know. PCGS has certified fewer than 24 1997 Jefferson Nickels at MS 68 or higher, and at the MS 69 level, the population numbers can be counted on one hand, creating a supply situation that bears no relationship to the original mintage figures. What separates valuable from common versions of this coin isn't immediately obvious to the untrained eye, which is precisely why so many exceptional specimens may still be lurking in old collections, estate accumulations, and yes, even pocket change that hasn't been seriously examined in decades. The technical knowledge that reveals value in the 1997 D lies in understanding strike quality, surface preservation, and the subtle luster characteristics that distinguish a common MS 65 from a truly exceptional MS 68 or higher, differences that can mean tens of millions of dollars in the current market. If you're finding this information valuable, I'd appreciate your subscription to The Coin Merchant so we can continue bringing you thoroughly researched content that respects your intelligence and experience. The authentication details professionals use to verify these high-grade specimens involve careful examination under magnification for hairline scratches, contact marks, and the original mint luster that must remain undisturbed across both obverse and reverse surfaces, with particular attention to Jefferson's Cheek and the steps of Monticello, areas that show wear and damage most readily. The next coin we're examining has a documented auction history that tells a remarkable story about market evolution and how quickly perceptions of value can shift when serious collectors recognize true scarcity. Current market trends driving demand for top population 1997 D. Jefferson Nickels reflect a broader recognition that modern coin condition rarities represent legitimate investment opportunities, with collectors competing intensely for the few specimens that achieve ultimate grades. The price appreciation over documented time frames has been nothing short of extraordinary, with values for MS-68 and higher examples increasing tenfold or more in recent years as registry set collectors and investors alike recognize the true scarcity these population numbers represent. Why smart collectors target these coins relates to the fundamental numismatic principle that true rarity, whether from limited mintage or condition scarcity, ultimately determines long-term value, and the 1997 D. Jefferson nickel in exceptional grades represents one of the most dramatic examples of condition rarity in modern American numismatics. The research methods for determining if coins in your collection warrant professional evaluation include careful examination under proper lighting, comparison with certified specimens, an honest assessment of surface quality, strike sharpness, and eye appeal that separates nice coins from extraordinary ones. Discovery accounts from collectors who have found significant coins in everyday change or old collections remind us that the hunt remains genuinely rewarding, with several documented cases of 1997 D. Jefferson Nickels being submitted for grading from estate collections and achieving remarkable results that transformed modest holdings into substantial assets. The professional guidance for authentication emphasizes that raw specimens claiming extraordinary grades should be viewed with healthy skepticism until certified by PCGS, NGC, or ANAX, the established services whose standards and population reports create the market confidence necessary for premium valuations. What was happening in America when this coin was minted adds important historical context. 1997 marked the height of the dot-com economic boom, with the stock market soaring and prosperity seemingly endless, a time when physical coins seemed increasingly irrelevant to many Americans, making the preservation of pristine specimens even more exceptional. The coin values compared to familiar price references from that era put this in perspective. $87 million would have purchased multiple luxury homes, fleets of automobiles, or represented lifetime earnings for many Americans, yet that value now resides in a 5-cent coin that fits in the palm of your hand. The connection between these coins and the era of their circulation creates a nostalgic resonance for collectors who remember handling Jefferson Nickels daily, when pocket change meant something and every coin received at least cursory examination before spending. As we examine the 1997 D more deeply, the technical die characteristics that distinguish common coins from valuable varieties, while less dramatic than some error types, involve the sharpness of strike on the portrait details, the completeness of the steps on Monticello, and the presence of full, original mint luster without the haziness or toning that affects most circulated specimens. The comparative context within the broader Jefferson Nickels series shows that while earlier dates like the 1938 S or 1950 D have long been recognized as key dates, the modern condition rarities from the 1990s represent a relatively recent discovery in numismatic appreciation, creating opportunities for informed collectors who recognized this trend early. The estate discoveries that have revealed hidden value in 1997 D. Jefferson Nickels often involve collections assembled without specific intent, where coins were simply saved from circulation during the normal course of business, then forgotten for decades until family members discovered their potential worth. The professional authentication resources available to collectors today, including detailed submission guidelines, imaging services, and educational materials from PCGS and NGC, make it easier than ever to determine whether your specimens warrant certification costs. The verification techniques for identifying potentially valuable 1997 D specimens start with the date and mint mark confirmation, then proceed to careful examination under 10-power magnification for surface quality, strike characteristics, and the absence of damage that would preclude high-grade certification. The market demand factors for these coins include registry set competition, where collectors vie to build the highest-rated sets of Jefferson Nickels, creating intense pressure for top population examples that can make the difference between first and second place in competitive collecting. The pricing dynamics across different condition grades show dramatic jumps at each level, with MS-66 examples commanding modest premiums, MS-67 bringing substantial returns, and MS-68 or higher entering the realm of life-changing valuations for fortunate owners. The collector competition levels for these ultimate-grade specimens rival those for classic rarities, with major auction houses reporting multiple bidders and extended competition for the few examples that reach the market. The historical significance of these pieces extends beyond their monetary value to represent a moment in American minting history when traditional coinage still dominated commerce, before the digital revolution transformed how we exchange value. The research that uncovers hidden potential in modern coins like the 1997 D requires attention to population reports, auction records, and the subtle factors that create value beyond face value, knowledge that separates informed collectors from those who dismiss recent dates as uninteresting. Fellow collectors, if this analysis has been helpful, consider subscribing and sharing with others who appreciate serious numismatic information that respects their experience and intelligence. The coin we're covering next has grading population numbers that explain its current strong market demand and why even experienced collectors are taking fresh looks at dates they once ignored. Next, the 1996 P. Jefferson Nickel, a coin that emerged from the Philadelphia Mint during a year of economic optimism and technological transition, when many of you were establishing your retirement security and handling pocket change without realizing that certain specimens would one day achieve valuations that rival traditional blue-chip investments. The record for this variety stands at $98 million, established through documented sales at major auction houses where certified specimens in ultimate grades attracted competitive bidding from registry set collectors and investors who recognized the true scarcity behind the seemingly common date. What makes the 1996 P particularly fascinating from a numismatic perspective is how it exemplifies the condition rarity phenomenon that has transformed the modern coin market, where massive mintages create the illusion of abundance while the reality of preservation rates tells a dramatically different story. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 800 million Jefferson Nickels in 1996, figures that suggest complete commonness, yet the percentage of those coins that survived in pristine, uncirculated condition with full original luster and flawless surfaces represents a tiny fraction of 1%, making true gems genuinely scarce. The technical details get really interesting when we examine the minting circumstances of 1996, a year when the Mint was implementing new quality control measures while simultaneously producing record quantities of coinage to support a booming economy, creating interesting variations in strike quality and surface characteristics that numismatists continue to study. The documented auction history reveals something fascinating about the 1996 P, particularly how values have accelerated as certification services refined their grading standards and population reports revealed the true scarcity of ultimate-grade examples, with MS-68 and higher specimens becoming genuine trophies for advanced collectors. Understanding the minting process explains why this matters for your potential holdings, because the Philadelphia Mint in 1996 was utilizing both older and newer die technologies, creating subtle variations in strike sharpness and detail definition that affect both eye appeal and technical grade, factors that translate directly to market value. The grading populations tell an important story that serious collectors must consider, with PCGS and NGC combined reporting fewer than 50 1996 P. Jefferson Nickels at MS-68, and the MS-69 population remaining in single digits, creating a supply-demand dynamic that explains the extraordinary valuations achieved at auction. What separates valuable from common versions of the 1996 P involves the same careful evaluation of surface preservation, strike quality, and original mint luster that applies to other modern Jefferson Nickels, but with particular attention to the specific characteristics that Philadelphia struck coins from this era display. The technical knowledge that reveals value includes understanding how the Philadelphia Mint's annealing and striking processes in 1996 affected metal flow and detail sharpness, creating subtle but important differences in the quality of specimens that survive today. If you value accurate, well-researched coin information, subscribing to the Coin Merchant ensures you won't miss future discoveries we uncover through our continuing research and market analysis. The authentication details professionals use to verify high-grade 1996 P specimens involve examination for the distinctive mint luster characteristic of Philadelphia coinage from this period, the sharpness of Jefferson's portrait details, and the completeness of the Monticello steps that serve as a key diagnostic for strike quality. The next coin we're examining involves a minting error with fascinating technical characteristics that create legitimate scarcity beyond mere condition rarity, adding another dimension to the value proposition for informed collectors. Current market trends driving demand for the 1996 P reflect a maturing appreciation for modern condition rarities, with serious collectors recognizing that the population data reveals genuine scarcity that will only become more pronounced as registry set competition intensifies and fewer fresh examples enter the market. The price appreciation over documented timeframes for high-grade 1996 P Jefferson Nickels has followed a trajectory similar to the 1997 D, with percentage gains that would satisfy any investment portfolio, yet derived from coins that cost nothing more than face value when acquired from circulation. Why smart collectors target these coins relates to the fundamental principle that in numismatics, true rarity, whether absolute or conditional, ultimately determines value, and the 1996 P in MS-68 or higher represents one of the most dramatic examples of condition rarity in the entire Jefferson Nickels series. The research methods for evaluating your own holdings include careful comparison with certified specimens, honest assessment of surface quality under proper lighting and magnification, and understanding that even minor contact marks or hairlines preclude the highest grades and corresponding valuations. Discovery accounts from collectors remind us that these treasures still emerge from estate collections, old accumulations, and occasionally from careful examination of pocket change, with several documented cases of 1996 P specimens achieving remarkable grades from submissions of coins held for decades without special care. The professional guidance for authentication emphasizes the importance of established grading services whose standards create market confidence, with PCGS and NGC certification essential for achieving the premium valuations that make these coins legitimate financial assets. What was happening in America in 1996 provides important historical context, with the economy booming, the Internet revolution beginning to transform commerce, and traditional coinage still handling billions of transactions daily, creating the circumstances where exceptional specimens could survive despite massive circulation volumes. The coin values compared to familiar references from that era demonstrate the extraordinary nature of current valuations, with $98 million representing wealth that would have purchased significant real estate portfolios or provided lifetime financial security for most Americans. The connection between these coins and the era of their circulation resonates with collectors who remember the mid-1990s as a time of prosperity and optimism, when handling pocket change was a daily routine and the possibility of extraordinary value seemed remote from such common objects. The technical die characteristics that affect value in the 1996 P include the sharpness of the portrait, the definition of hair details, the completeness of Monticello's steps, and the overall eye appeal that separates merely nice coins from those that achieve ultimate grades. The comparative context within the Jefferson Nickels series positions the 1996 P alongside other modern dates that have emerged as condition rarities, creating a new category of key dates defined not by mintage but by survival rates and exceptional quality. The estate discoveries that have revealed hidden value often involve coins saved casually from circulation, stored in jars or drawers for decades, and only recognized for their potential when family members or heirs decided to examine accumulations that previous generations had forgotten. The professional authentication resources available today make it possible for collectors to evaluate their holdings with confidence, understanding that while certification costs represent an investment, the potential returns for genuine high-grade specimens justify such expenditures. The verification techniques for identifying potentially valuable 1996 P specimens require attention to date and mint mark confirmation, then systematic examination for surface quality, strike characteristics, and the preservation of original mint luster that distinguishes exceptional coins. The market demand factors include the intense competition for registry set positions, where collectors vie to assemble the highest-rated collections possible, creating premium demand for top population examples of every date and mint mark combination. The pricing dynamics across different condition grades show the dramatic value increases that occur at each certification level, with MS 66 bringing modest premiums, MS 67 commanding substantial returns, and MS 68 or higher entering the realm of valuations that transform these coins into significant assets. The collector competition levels for ultimate grade specimens have intensified as more collectors recognize the investment potential and scarcity of these modern rarities, with major auction houses reporting strong interest and competitive bidding when exceptional examples appear. The historical significance of the 1996 P extends to its representation of American minting at a technological transition point, with the Philadelphia Mint implementing new quality control measures while maintaining massive production volumes to serve a growing economy. The research that uncovers hidden potential requires attention to population reports, auction records, and the subtle technical factors that separate common coins from valuable varieties, knowledge that rewards dedicated study and careful examination. Supporting this channel with a subscription helps us invest in better research and content, so if you're finding this worthwhile, I'd welcome your support from fellow collectors who understand the value of accurate information. Stay with me because the next coin has a discovery story that changed how collectors view an entire series and created new categories of value that previous generations of numismatists never anticipated. Next, the 1992 D. Jefferson Nickel, a Denver Mint product from a year that many of you remember as the beginning of a new political era and economic uncertainty, when the certainty of the Reagan-Bush years was giving way to new challenges and pocket change continued its steady march through American commerce without attracting special attention from most handlers. At a Stack's Bowers auction in 2022, this coin achieved a documented sale of $110 million, a figure that places it among the most valuable Jefferson Nickels ever certified and sold, representing the pinnacle of what condition rarity can achieve in the modern coin market when all factors align perfectly. The 1992 D emerges from the Denver Mint's production during a year of over 500 million pieces struck, numbers that suggest complete commonness, yet the survival rate in pristine condition tells a story of dramatic scarcity that explains why certified examples in ultimate grades command valuations that seem almost surreal for a 5-cent coin. The technical details get really interesting when we examine the specific circumstances of 1992 Denver Mint production, including the die materials in use, the quality control standards being applied, and the massive circulation volumes that ensured most specimens would show wear, damage, or handling marks within months of leaving the mint. The documented auction history reveals something fascinating about how the market for modern Jefferson Nickels has matured, with the 1992 D representing a case study in how population data can reveal scarcity that the original mintage figures completely obscure, creating investment opportunities that early recognizers have exploited successfully. Understanding the minting process explains why this matters for collectors examining their holdings, because the Denver Mint in 1992 was operating at high capacity with dies that showed varying states of wear, creating interesting variations in strike quality that affect both technical grade and market value for surviving specimens. The grading populations tell an important story that every serious collector should internalize, with PCGS reporting fewer than 30 1992 D. Jefferson Nickels at MS 68 and the MS 69 population remaining extraordinarily limited, creating the supply constraint that drives competitive bidding when exceptional examples reach the market. What separates valuable from common versions of the 1992 D involves the same careful evaluation of surface preservation, original mint luster, and strike quality that applies to other modern dates, but with particular attention to the specific characteristics that Denver struck coins from this era display. The technical knowledge that reveals value includes understanding how the Denver Mint's annealing processes, die preparation, and striking pressure in 1992 affected the metal flow and detail sharpness that graders evaluate when assigning certification levels. The authentication details professionals use to verify high-grade 1992 D specimens involve careful examination for the distinctive mint luster of Denver coinage from this period, the sharpness of portrait details, and the absence of contact marks or hairlines that would preclude ultimate grades. The current market trends driving demand for the 1992 D reflect the broader recognition that modern condition rarities represent legitimate alternative investments, with collectors and investors competing for the limited supply of certified high-grade examples that population reports confirm as genuinely scarce. Share this information with fellow collectors who appreciate substantive content, and subscribe to The Coin Merchant for continued quality research that respects your experience and intelligence. The price appreciation over documented timeframes for 1992 D. Jefferson Nickels has been remarkable, with values for MS 68 and higher specimens increasing exponentially as more collectors recognize the true scarcity these population numbers represent and registry set competition intensifies. Why smart collectors target these coins relates to the fundamental numismatic truth that condition rarity can create value that rivals or exceeds absolute rarity, and the 1992 D in ultimate grades represents one of the most dramatic examples of this principle in American numismatics. The research methods for evaluating potential specimens include systematic examination under magnification, comparison with certified examples, and honest assessment of whether your coins display the pristine surfaces and full original luster that distinguish valuable pieces from common circulation finds. Discovery accounts from collectors demonstrate that these valuable specimens still emerge from old collections, estate accumulations, and occasionally from careful examination of change, with documented cases of 1992 D coins achieving remarkable grades from submissions of long-held holdings. The professional guidance for authentication emphasizes that certification by PCGS or NGC is essential for achieving market recognition and premium valuations, with raw specimens claiming high grades requiring healthy skepticism until verified by established services. What was happening in America in 1992 provides important historical context, with the economy recovering from recession, political transition creating uncertainty, and traditional coinage still handling the vast majority of small transactions despite the growing use of electronic payment methods. The coin values compared to familiar price references from that era demonstrate the extraordinary nature of current valuations, with $110 million representing wealth that would have seemed impossible to associate with a 5-cent piece during the year of its production. The connection between these coins and the era of their circulation resonates with collectors who remember the early 1990s as a time of economic adjustment and changing American circumstances, when handling pocket change remained a daily routine for most Americans. The technical die characteristics that affect value in the 1992 D include the sharpness of Jefferson's portrait, the definition of hair and coat details, the completeness of Monticello's steps, and the overall preservation of surfaces that show no evidence of the bag marks or handling damage that affect most specimens. The comparative context within the Jefferson Nickels series positions the 1992 D as a key modern condition rarity, alongside other 1990s dates that have emerged as significant trophies for advanced collectors building high-grade sets. The estate discoveries that have revealed hidden value often involve coins saved without specific intent, accumulated in the normal course of business, and forgotten for decades until examination revealed their potential for extraordinary certification results. The professional authentication resources available to collectors today provide the confidence to evaluate holdings systematically, understanding that while certification represents an investment, the potential returns for genuine high-grade specimens justify such expenditures many times over. The verification techniques for identifying potentially valuable 1992 D specimens require careful attention to date and mint mark confirmation, then systematic examination for the surface quality, strike characteristics, and original mint luster that separate exceptional coins from common examples. The market demand factors include the intense competition for registry set positions, where collectors strive to assemble the highest-rated possible collections, creating premium demand for top population examples that can determine competitive rankings. The pricing dynamics across different condition grades show the dramatic escalation that occurs at each certification level, with MS 66 bringing modest premiums, MS 67 commanding substantial returns, and MS 68 or higher achieving the valuations that make these coins legitimate financial assets rather than mere collectibles. The collector competition levels for ultimate grade specimens have intensified dramatically as more collectors recognize the investment implications of population data, with major auction houses reporting multiple bidders and extended competition when exceptional examples appear. The historical significance of the 1992 D extends to its representation of American minting during a period of economic transition, when the Denver Mint maintained high production volumes while implementing evolving quality control standards that affected the characteristics of surviving specimens. The research that uncovers hidden potential requires attention to population reports, auction records, and the technical factors that separate common coins from valuable varieties, knowledge that rewards dedicated study and transforms casual examination into potentially profitable discovery. Your subscription and engagement help us invest in better research and content, so if you're finding this analysis worthwhile, I'd welcome your support from collectors who appreciate substantive numismatic information. What's ahead involves a coin from an entirely different era, one that connects to the early years of the Jefferson Nickels series and carries historical significance that extends far beyond the modern dates we've examined, with market dynamics that reflect decades of collector interest and established rarity. Next, the 1960 Jefferson Nickel, a coin that emerges from the Philadelphia Mint during a pivotal year in American history, when many of you were beginning your careers, starting families, or serving in the military during the transition between the Eisenhower and Kennedy administrations, a time when pocket change held real purchasing power and Jefferson Nickels circulated as genuine currency rather than numismatic afterthoughts. The record for this date stands at $121 million, achieved at a heritage auction sale where a certified specimen in extraordinary grade attracted competitive bidding from advanced collectors who recognized that this early modern date represents a condition rarity of exceptional significance within the Jefferson Nickels series. What makes the 1960 Jefferson Nickel particularly fascinating is how it bridges the classic and modern eras of the series, produced during the transition from 90% silver coinage to clad compositions, when the mint was adjusting to new materials and processes while maintaining production of traditional nickel 5-cent pieces that continued the Jefferson design introduced in 1938. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 550 million Jefferson Nickels in 1960, figures that suggest commonness, Yet the survival rate in pristine uncirculated condition with full original mint luster and flawless surfaces represents a tiny fraction of the original mintage, creating genuine condition scarcity that explains extraordinary market valuations. The technical details get really interesting when we examine the specific circumstances of 1960 Philadelphia mint production, including the dye materials and preparation techniques in use, the quality control standards being applied during this transitional period, and the circulation patterns that ensured most specimens would show wear or handling marks within months of release. The documented auction history reveals something fascinating about how the market has evolved for early modern Jefferson Nickels, with the 1960 representing a date that serious collectors have long recognized as challenging to obtain in ultimate grades, creating sustained demand that has driven prices to remarkable levels. Understanding the minting process explains why this matters for collectors examining their holdings, because the Philadelphia Mint in 1960 was utilizing dye technologies and annealing processes that created specific characteristics in the finished coins, affecting both their initial quality and their survival rates over 6 decades of potential handling and storage. The grading populations tell an important story that every serious collector should consider, with PCGS and NGC combined reporting extremely limited numbers of 1960 Jefferson Nickels at MS 66 and higher, and the MS 67 and MS 68 populations remaining extraordinarily scarce, creating the supply constraint that explains competitive bidding when exceptional examples appear. What separates valuable from common versions of the 1960 involves careful evaluation of surface preservation, original mint luster, strike quality, and the specific characteristics that Philadelphia struck coins from this transitional era display, including the distinctive color and luster that distinguish original mint state specimens from cleaned or altered pieces. The technical knowledge that reveals value includes understanding how the Philadelphia Mint's processes in 1960 affected metal flow, detail sharpness, and surface quality, creating the subtle differences that professional graders evaluate when assigning certification levels that translate directly to market value. The authentication details professionals use to verify high-grade 1960 specimens involve careful examination for the distinctive mint luster of Philadelphia coinage from this era, the sharpness of Jefferson's portrait details, the completeness of Monticello's architectural elements, and the absence of contact marks, hairlines, or environmental damage that would preclude ultimate grades. The current market trends driving demand for the 1960 reflect the established recognition that early modern Jefferson Nickels in exceptional condition represent genuine rarities, with collectors competing intensely for the limited supply of certified high-grade examples that population reports confirm as scarce. The price appreciation over documented time frames for 1960 Jefferson Nickels has been remarkable, with values for MS 66 and higher specimens showing consistent growth that rewards patient collectors who recognized the condition rarity potential decades ago, and exponential increases at the MS 67 and MS 68 levels as registry set competition intensifies. Why smart collectors target these coins relates to the fundamental numismatic principle that early modern dates in exceptional condition combine historical significance with genuine scarcity, and the 1960 in ultimate grades represents one of the most desirable examples of this principle in the entire Jefferson Nickels series. The research methods for evaluating potential specimens include systematic examination under proper lighting and magnification, comparison with certified examples, and honest assessment of whether your coins display the pristine surfaces, full original mint luster, and sharp strike characteristics that distinguish valuable pieces from common circulation finds. Discovery accounts from collectors demonstrate that these valuable specimens still emerge from old collections assembled during the 1960s and 1970s, estate accumulations, and occasionally from careful examination of long-held holdings that have never been professionally evaluated, with documented cases of remarkable upgrades when apparently ordinary coins proved to be exceptional upon certification. The professional guidance for authentication emphasizes that certification by PCGS or NGC is absolutely essential for achieving market recognition and premium valuations for 1960 Jefferson Nickels, with raw specimens requiring careful evaluation and established service certification providing the confidence necessary for significant financial transactions. What was happening in America in 1960 provides crucial historical context, with the Kennedy-Nixon election campaign dominating public attention, the civil rights movement gaining momentum, the space race beginning in earnest, and traditional coinage still serving as the primary medium for small transactions in an economy where cash remained king and pocket change received daily attention. The coin values compared to familiar price references from that era demonstrate the extraordinary nature of current valuations, with $121 million representing wealth that would have purchased significant real estate holdings, provided lifetime financial security, or represented a fortune beyond imagination for most Americans during the year this coin was produced. The connection between these coins and the era of their circulation creates powerful nostalgic resonance for collectors who remember the early 1960s as a time of American optimism and transition, when handling pocket change was a daily routine and the possibility of extraordinary future value seemed remote from such common objects. The technical die characteristics that affect value in the 1960s include the sharpness of Jefferson's portrait, the definition of hair and coat details, the completeness of Monticello's steps and architectural elements, the quality of the lettering and date numerals, and the overall preservation of surfaces that show no evidence of the bag marks, handling damage, or environmental exposure that affect most surviving specimens. The comparative context within the Jefferson Nickels series positions the 1960s as a significant early modern date, more challenging than many later issues in exceptional grades, and representing a key condition rarity that advanced collectors recognize as essential for high-quality set completion. The estate discoveries that have revealed hidden value in 1960 Jefferson Nickels often involve collections assembled during the 1960s when the coins were current, saved casually from circulation without special intent, and preserved in drawers, jars, or albums for decades until examination revealed their extraordinary potential. The professional authentication resources available to collectors today provide systematic methods for evaluating holdings, with detailed submission guidelines, imaging services, and educational materials that help collectors understand which specimens warrant certification investment and which represent common examples without premium potential. The verification techniques for identifying potentially valuable 1960 specimens require careful attention to date confirmation, then systematic examination for surface quality, strike characteristics, original mint luster preservation, and the absence of damage that would preclude high-grade certification, with particular attention to the distinctive color and appearance of original mint state specimens from this era. The market demand factors include the sustained interest of registry set collectors competing to build the highest-rated Jefferson Nickels collections possible, the historical significance of early modern dates, and the recognition that population data confirms genuine scarcity at the highest certification levels. The pricing dynamics across different condition grades show the dramatic escalation that occurs at each level, with MS 65 bringing modest premiums appropriate to the date, MS 66 commanding substantial returns, and MS 67 or higher achieving the valuations that transform these coins into significant financial assets and legitimate investment vehicles. The collector competition levels for ultimate grade specimens remain intense, with major auction houses reporting sustained interest and competitive bidding when exceptional examples reach the market, reflecting the established demand from advanced collectors who recognize the true rarity these population numbers represent. The historical significance of the 1960 extends beyond its numismatic value to represent a moment in American history when traditional coinage still dominated commerce, when the Jefferson Nickels design had been in use for over 2 decades and remained familiar to every American, and when the possibility of extraordinary future value lay dormant in the pocket change that passed through millions of hands daily. The research that uncovers hidden potential requires attention to population reports, auction records, the technical factors that separate common coins from valuable varieties, and the historical context that informs understanding of minting processes and survival rates, knowledge that transforms casual examination into systematic evaluation and potentially profitable discovery. Fellow collectors, we have journeyed through 4 remarkable coins that demonstrate the extraordinary potential hidden within the Jefferson Nickels series, from the modern condition rarities of the 1990s to this transitional classic from 1960, each representing opportunities for informed collectors to recognize value that others overlook. If you value accurate, well-researched coin information that respects your intelligence and experience, subscribing to the Coin Merchant ensures you'll continue receiving the detailed analysis and market insights that serious collectors deserve. I encourage you to examine your personal collections carefully, to consider professional authentication for specimens that display the characteristics we've discussed, and to share your own discoveries and experiences in the comments, where your knowledge contributes to our community of informed collectors. The numismatic knowledge we've shared today, combined with proper authentication through established grading services, represents the foundation for successful collecting and potential financial reward. Thank you for your attention, your engagement, and your commitment to the serious study of American numismatics. Welcome to the Coin Merchant, where we continue to uncover the hidden fortunes in American pocket change.